going on, everybody? Tobin here, 5M Family Homestead channel. Today I'm going to show you a super easy, super simple maceration setup. It's a accelerated maceration setup. You can macerate deer, hogs, bear, anything like that in 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days, depending on how you do it. But I'm going to show y'all that here real quick. Let's go. So if y'all are new to the channel, we have a small homestead here, and we kind of document what we do on our homestead as far as raising our animals, hunting, fishing, and stuff like that. And we also own a part-time taxidermy business. We do skull mounts only. We do about 400 to 500 each year, and we've had some videos in the past that have done pretty good, and we like to just share some of what we learned from y'all. Some of the stuff we developed on our own, some we haven't. This process that I'm about to show you, I cannot take credit for this. There are bunches of other people out there that use a similar setup to this. Walk back around the back of the shop here. That's where I got it set up at. If you got a weak stomach, this is not for you. This is a nasty way of cleaning heads, but it is very, in my opinion, I wish I could do 100% maceration. My neighbors would probably run me out of the county if I did that, though. But by far, the best way to remove grease and you get less bone damage. I think, like I said, in my opinion, out of the 3 main methods, which are boiling, beetles, and maceration is the best way to go. I'll talk more about that here in a second. Let me show you what I got. This is actually a stand-up deep freeze. A chest style will work too. Anything like this would work. I've got, believe it or not, there are 3 bucks in there and 1 doe. They're all very young deer. All I got right here is a light, like a little spotlight type thing. You can buy those at Home Depot for 4 or 5 bucks. And I've got a 75-watt bulb in there. I have drilled some holes in the bottom of this freezer to let it drain, and as you can tell, it's been used a lot. All this rust is from stuff spilling out in there when we put heads in there. So guys, back in the day, the very first head I ever cleaned, I cleaned it in a Rubbermaid container with a fish tank heater in the wintertime. That was the very first one I ever did, the first process I ever used. So I'm not new to doing the maceration process. In the past, I've always done it in a freezer. Well, not always. Since we've gotten a little more busy, I've always done it in a freezer. I had that freezer back behind that shed back there, and I would just put heads in there and just forget about them for a month or 2. Using this heat source speeds things up significantly. So that's a 75-watt bulb. Now this is all going to be dependent upon how big your freezer is and what wattage bulb you use. I wouldn't go more than 75 probably. In the winter time, in that freezer, I can put 4 or 5 pig heads in there or a couple deer heads in there and put that light on, and then 4 or 5 days they are completely macerated. So this time of year right now, I mean, it's sun shining, it's going to be up in the 80s over the weekend, so probably a day or 2 is all it's going to take to get those things macerated. It just speeds up the process, lets the bacteria grow faster and eat faster, and that's how it works. So now little more story on how we do things, just for context. All these heads right here and these heads right here, it is this weekend is opening, this coming weekend is opening weekend of rifle season here in Texas, so we're not really busy yet. This is a typical bow season week for us to do. All these were boiled, power washed, and now they're whitening. Let's talk some more about when I macerate and why I macerate, in case you guys are interested. Go in here in the shop real quick and we'll talk about it. All right, y'all. When and why I macerate heads. Like I said, if I had the place to do it in, I would macerate everything using that process right there. It's just not feasible for me. Boiling is what I have to do, and that's a whole nother video. I know there's a lot of people that are against boiling. I would venture to say most of the heads you know, probably big percentage of the heads that are clean throughout the country are probably boiled. But like I said, that's another video. I macerate all pigs now. I do not boil pigs, period. Will not boil them, do not boil them. I macerate javelinas. We get a lot of javelinas in. We're in Texas, and we get people bringing them in from West Texas and New Mexico, Arizona. And I don't do many bear, but I would macerate bear as well if I ever got any. We're not in really bear country, just so to speak. So, and then young animals, young deer, whether it's I mean, Sitka blacktails are really small, very small bone structure. Even adult deer are. I coos deer. We do several coos deer. Same thing. I macerate all them, and those deer out there are all Texas and Oklahoma whitetails, and they're very young. The one in the very bottom is actually it's not a doe. I said it was a doe earlier. It's like a little nubbin buck. So all those deer in there, none of them are over a year and a half old at the oldest. They may be younger than that. Some of them, that little nubbin buck's probably 6 months old. But with that real delicate bone structure, they don't hold up to boiling very well. So I macerate those as well. The reason I macerate pigs, javelina, is because of how greasy and fatty they are. If you've done skulls very long, you know hogs are probably the worst. Bear, I've heard, are bad too. If you boil a hog, it's guaranteed it's going to turn yellow pretty quick after you boil it and hang on the wall. It's just, there's just so much grease trapped inside that bone and in the cavities and things. It's just going to come back out and turn yellow. This process I use is not guaranteed it's not going to turn yellow, but it's a better process. I don't know the science behind it, but the maceration pulls an enormous amount of fat out of that bone while it's macerating. And once I macerate them, I'm having them out there for 4 or 5 days and they're done, there will be a layer of just fat on top of the water. But yeah, so if you've got, I mean, maceration, you can do it without any heat source. It's just going to take longer, especially in the wintertime. It'd take a lot longer in the wintertime. But you know, I would guess that bulb in that deep freeze gets it up to, I'm gonna say 100 to 110 degrees is what I think. I've never actually, if I have checked it, it's been a while, I don't remember. But definitely when you go out there, if it's 30, 40 degrees outside and you go open that thing, you can feel the heat and the stink hitting you. So a couple things to consider. One, it's very normal to lose teeth and even nose bones on deer and teeth, especially on hogs. So when you go to empty that bucket out, you need to count teeth and then, you know, carefully dump the bucket out somewhere and you know, see if there are any teeth in there and then count what you have. I usually put on like one pair of just regular like plastic gloves, and I have some I keep around a few pairs of like dish gloves because the smell will go through just a normal pair of like latex type gloves. Make sure all that stuff's accounted for before you pour that bucket out and walk away, because you may never find those teeth again. Don't dump the bucket where your dogs can get to it. I know from experience. I dumped it out and had the dog rolling and it was nasty. So what we typically do, I have a little concrete pad in the back of my shop and with a drain, and I have a drain next to my driveway in front of the shop, and we pour the water down the drain, and then the clumps of nastiness, I typically sweep those up and put them in a bag, and I freeze them and then throw them in the trash with all the other scraps from when we skin deer heads and stuff. And definitely, guys, if you're going to try this process, I encourage you to try it. Don't just put it in there and walk away and leave it for, you know, a week or two and then come back and check it. You need to be doing it when you can check it daily at least, if not, you know, every, you know, half a day or whatever, until you kind of get a feel for what your setup's going to do. And then, you know, once you do, the only other factor that really kind of changes is the temperature outside. Can affect it somewhat. So another thing you guys can do, if you don't want to go through the trouble, if you just want to do one, like for just yourself, like fish tank heater is the way to go, or just put it in a bucket, put it somewhere and forget about it for, you know, for a while without a heat source. So guys, if y'all are wanting to see more of how we do maceration, like finish out the process, I've got some videos on my channel about that. We have a taxidermy playlist, and it's all taxidermy videos. If you don't want to watch any of our homesteading, hunting, fishing videos, that's fine. Just go find the taxidermy playlist. A lot of stuff in there. A lot of older videos. We evolve and we change, so videos that we put out 4 or 5 years ago, we are not doing the same thing then that we do now. We learn, we try new things, and we're not scared to admit that what we did then may not be the best option and do something now. I've got videos on the right tools to use. I got a video I went over showing just my recommendations if you want to start a little side business. Just some things to consider, stuff like that. Like I said, we've been doing this for 6 or 8 years now, like on a big level. Started doing it probably 10 years ago. Do 400 or 500 heads a year. My wife doesn't work anymore. She pretty much runs the business from November until February. And I work full-time I work full-time for the man and work full-time doing this. And then we have some help from some people that we hire as well. Our way is not the only way. We definitely want to learn, want to change. We encourage constructive critiques or criticisms. So y'all leave us a comment below. Let us know what are you doing? Are you just doing? Do you have a small business? Are you wanting to start a small business? Are you just doing one for yourself or your family or something? Would love to know what process do y'all use. There's no. In my opinion, there's no right or wrong. It's just what's best for you. So thank y'all so much for watching. Thank you for the participation. Please comment, like, subscribe. Helps our channel get seen and other people see it. So thank y'all so much, and we'll see y'all again.